Aloha, folks. It's Antonio with HypnosisProductReviews.com. Today I'm interviewing William Wood all the way from Ogden, Utah, about his upcoming talk on beliefs at HypnoThoughts Live. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's good to be here, man. How are you?
I'm good. No, so what's the weather like over there now?
Weather's gorgeous. I just took a walk over my lunch hour. It was like maybe low 80s. It's beautiful. What's it like there in Hawaii?
It's actually it's really warm. It's kind of humid. Last year, I think you said you've been to Hawaii. Last year was the most humid I've ever felt in the past 9 years. It was unbearably humid.
Was it? Yeah, I was on the island of Kauai in December and early January. Just this last bit. It's gorgeous. My favorite island, man.
Where did you stay at?
We were staying up in the Princeville area, and just right next to 5 minutes from Hanalei Bay. Just great place.
Oh, it's gorgeous up there. That's our weekend getaway.
Is that?
Yeah, just drive up there because even though it's a small island, you don't drive everywhere just because of the traffic.
Oh, the traffic's crazy. I can't believe the amount. I was GPS. I was like five miles down the road. 45 minutes later, you're still traveling. It's pretty insane, but it's gorgeous. I mean, you live in paradise, man.
Yeah, it is good. Once in a while, I have to get off the island just to kind of get the fast pace and be okay. I'm ready for home.
Nice. Are you coming out to hypnothoughts?
Yeah. Barring any kind of financial problems, I'm doing my best. I'm actually working on writing some. I write sales copy. I'm working on writing some sales copy for different hypnosis instructors.
Nice.
Trying to just get money from every little angle.
Nice, man. Well, I hope to see you out there. I know you were out there last year, and it's good to see you out there, man.
Were you there last year? I'm trying to remember. I think you were.
Yeah, I was there. I think I've hit all of the hypnothoughts since they launched. It's close. I mean, for you, it's a hike to get there, but for me, it's 6 hours in a car or 6.5 hours in the car. It's easy driving, and it's a great conference. I love the conference. The conference is fantastic.
Even though it's my own podcast, I can't flip you off. So, your talk on. Would you like to kind of do a brief little intro of what your talk's about, and then we're gonna fire away and see if you can do some magic on me?
Sure. Let's see what's possible. Let's play. So I am by background. I started off as a hypnotist, and then I've been an NLP instructor now for a few years. I train with Tim Halbum out of the NLP Institute of California, and love NLP. So this is the talk, I believe, is named something like this. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's Guerrilla NLP for Belief Change. And my thought in doing this, there you go. It's Guerrilla NLP for Belief Change. I think that's pretty close. My idea in presenting the talk is that a lot of hypnotists aren't really that familiar with NLP, or they have just a very surface understanding of NLP. And I thought if I was a brand new NLPer and I knew almost nothing about NLP, what would be one of the main things that I'd want to learn how to do? I'd want to learn how to be able to change beliefs quickly and easily with NLP. Now, there's lots of belief change patterns, but what I'm going to be teaching in this class isn't any one pattern. It's kind of the big frame for how belief change works, and then we're going to play with specific techniques or specific approaches during the class, depending on the sophistication of the class. I know that at least 2 of the people that have signed up for the workshop so far are actually fairly advanced NLPers, and so it'll be fun to see what we can do with them. My goal is always to stretch people a little bit based on where they're at. But if we have a bunch of newbies, we may just stick to real basics and make sure that they walk out at the end of the day learning something that will be hugely useful in their practice.
Sounds great. Thanks. Belief change is something I've been thinking about lately. Now, is it a post-conference or a pre-conference?
Pre-conference. I think it's the Thursday right before the conference. It's a 1 day, and when I just flew down to Peru and did the same workshop over 3 days, and I'm compressing the workshop down into a single day, and we're going to do the best we can to give as much value as possible in the shortest time available.
Now, with your the guerrilla belief change, you said you have you give them the big picture, the whole picture.
Yeah, sure. Let me talk about that. Let me talk about that just for a quick second. If you boil down NLP into, if we're talking coaching technology, or coaching therapy, whatever you want to call it, personal change technology, really there's only two things that NLP does. There's a lot of techniques. I think that if you look like at the source book of magic, Michael Hall's book, I think he has like 400 or 500 patterns in there. If you go through most people's practitioner and master practitioner courses, you'll see that there's hundreds of patterns that are taught over a couple of different levels. But when you boil it down, really NLP does two things in terms of techniques. You reframe and you help people change state through anchoring. And that's it. And that's all that we have in terms of tools. Now, inside of that, there's a lot of what I call backbone or foundational tools of NLP that aren't really a technique. Things like your languaging, meta model, Milton model, hypnotic, your hypnotic language, your language of specificity, and your ability to, elicit submodalities, create states, things like that. But that's not really a technique. That's just kind of background information that helps you create change effectively. And when it comes down to it, we got two techniques. So I can outline the whole formula for you if you want, and from a big picture, kind of let people know what we're up against. Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Let me just pull this out here, and I'll show you a couple of different formulas real quick that I think will lay the background, kind of some background foundation for people, so that they know where we're coming from inside of the workshop. But here's the first formula that we'll go ahead and go through. Give me just 2 seconds.
I can only imagine awesome books are on that bookshelf back there.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I can only imagine what awesome books are on that bookshelf back there.
All sorts of good stuff. This is a third of my library. Another third of it's in the back room back here, and then at home I've got a whole other bookshelf that I'll probably end up moving out to the office here soon. All sorts of goodies. I'm a reader. I'm a learner. One of the reasons I love hypnothoughts is I feel like I can go there and I can share something, and I can also walk away and I can learn something too. So super cool. So I'm going to show two formulas here. And again, this is just laying the foundation. Then I'll draw a picture out for you. This will take me just a quick second. All right, here we go. So first couple formulas. So the first one is what I believe is the simplest way to define what a belief is. A belief is simply nothing more than a thought times an emotional state. And I used to say it was a thought plus an emotional state, but I really don't think that's accurate. So let me give you a couple of examples here on that formula, and we'll come back around to the second one. So if you look at, for example, a limiting belief, and that's mainly what we're talking about. We don't want to change a belief that's working well for you. But if you've got something that really limits you in terms of your belief, what is that? You've got some sort of thought, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Earlier today, I was helping a client through the belief, I am worthless, is what she said. Well, a lot of people will have that thought, but what makes that thought problematic is how much emotional energy is behind the thought. And the amount of emotional energy or the strength of the state or states that are attached to a limiting belief like that are absolutely what drives it. And so a thought is amplified by the amount of emotional thought energy or emotional energy that rests behind the thought. Based on that formula, it really reveals, I think, one of the most important, something that took me a long time, because there's a lot of different belief change technologies inside of NLP, but it reveals one of the things that I think is most important to understand, and that is that the fastest way to change a belief is to change the state. And if you can get somebody to change their state, the belief changes almost on its own. So a couple of examples. I have a colleague that was working with a client, and the client had driven around the block, and as she was driving around the block, she hit a curb, and the front of her car, hit the curb, and she had a thought go through her head, like maybe a lot of people would, was like, oh my gosh, maybe I hit somebody. And you can imagine that, especially if your car, jogging, like, oh man, maybe I hit somebody. What would a normal person do? Normal person would look out the rearview mirror, maybe stop the car, get out, take a look around. Okay, no bodies, we're good. What this client did is she started to obsess about it. She did get out of her car. She looped all the way around, looked for damage, looked for a body, no body, gets back in the car, starts to drive around the block, for 8 hours until she runs out of gas looking for a dead body. So this is the power of an obsessive thought, right? So she had a thought that maybe anybody would have, that maybe most of us would give a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, worth of attention to. But because of the power of the fear and the anxiety that lived in her, the thought was amplified to a level where it controlled her life. Take the thought that runs through somebody's head, a really common one, like I don't deserve success, or I'm not good enough. Common thought to have, but for some people, they might have just a little bit of emotion attached to it, and for others, they have fear, they have anger, they have guilt, they have shame, they have all these huge emotional states attached to it, and so when the thought comes, it absolutely freezes them and locks them down. So again, thought times emotion, or times the emotional state, equals a belief. A thought with no emotion attached to it, you're going to dismiss quickly. It's not really going to limit you in any significant way, and you're going to go about your life. So if that's true, there's two basic things that we do in NLP. If we go back to the basic NLP formula, what are the tools that we have? We have reframing, and we have re-anchoring, or we have helping somebody change their state. What's the belief change formula? Belief change formula is first identify, right? I'll just go ahead and hold this up. You identify the belief. You go ahead and help the person get the belief fleshed out. This really comes back to one of the core technologies in NLP, which is like the mother technology, which is modeling. You're essentially modeling out the client's belief. How do they think about it? How do they represent it? What are the emotional states? How are the emotional states represented? Are there any memories attached to it? And once you flesh out the belief, once you've identified it, now you have something to work with. Now, for another conversation for another day, we could talk about how do you identify a core belief versus a surface belief. And I think that's a little bit of a longer conversation, but I will give this hint that a core belief produces a massive state change in your client. And that shows up in their voice tone, and that shows up in their physiology. So if somebody says a belief, but they're kind of flippant about it, good chance that you don't actually have a core belief. Now, you can change a non-core belief, but you might not get a huge change. When you change a core belief, you'll find that it opens up a huge amount of possibility for the client to behave in new ways and to really go out and to do things. So like when you help someone change an identity level limiting belief, you'll probably get more bang for your buck than if you just change something that has very, very little emotional energy around it. So you identify it. Go ahead.
That makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense, right? So now, assuming that we've identified it, what do we do next? Well, we know that the states of a client are the things that most govern the belief. So I believe, based on my experience, I've worked with more than 1,000 people one-on-one and about 5,000 people, 6,000 people, somewhere in that realm in groups, both through training, teaching, traveling, lectures, workshops. And I have found that I get the biggest bang for my buck if I can, and I can't always do it, but if I can get the client to legitimately change their state in relationship to their in relationship to their limiting belief, that is the fastest way to change it. Then we come back in and we clean up with reframing. So I say we identify the belief, we change the state, we change the meaning, or we change the context. Those are your reframing technologies. And then we generalize and test. Generalization means you start to attach the new belief into the future. You start to attach the new belief into the situations where they were limited before, and you start to calibrate, or you start to test how the client reacts to the new belief as they think about it. Oftentimes in the office, we can't test whether or not the change is done, but we can test how the client is responding to the new belief on the level of thought and emotion based on their responses through their voice tone and their physiology. So in a nutshell, that's the big deal. I teach another formula that's pretty useful, but I think it might be beyond what we have time to go over today. But it's I call it the House of Beliefs, and it shows you how to quickly model a belief and to get the major components of a belief laid out, because the hardest part of changing a limiting belief most of the time is to actually get that belief modeled out, to get it represented correctly. And once you've got it represented correctly, if you have a client that is cooperating and there's good rapport, it's usually fairly easy to get the belief change.
Oh, you really need to make an online version of this.
Yeah, actually, I absolutely do. I need to create a product. I've got a product that I just released not that long ago that goes through pieces of this, but it doesn't give the whole belief change formula in detail. It does take me to really do an excellent job. It takes me about 3 days to go through this and to really teach this on a deep level. But to teach it on a surface level, in 6 to 8 hours, I can get a lot done. And people can walk away and have something that they can apply.
Yeah, I will definitely. I'm telling you, definitely make an online version of this. I don't know if you know Connie Ray Andreas. She has the wholeness process. I think it is
Brilliant. Yeah, her process is brilliant.
You've seen how she has it set up the the membership program. You need something like that. Have it broken down. Have the overall view, and then broken down.
Yeah, I need to actually take this particular process and digitize it. I have some others digitized. I don't have this one done. So that's something for the to-do list for sure.
Well, definitely. Keep in mind, I will help you do it. We'll make it a win-win.
All right, sounds good, man. I will talk. So, I mean, here's my question. If you want to play, we can play a little bit. Again, can't guarantee a change, but we can do as much as we can, and we can at least start the process and show people how it starts to work. What I will be demonstrating something in the live workshop that is really hard to do, and that is how to change a state with eye movements, and that's hard to do. That's hard to do over a video here. But we can do some other technology that I may not be demonstrating.
You would need my eyeball right there.
Yeah, I need your eyeball up there, and I'd be waving the pen back and forth. So I don't think that'll work out that well, but we can do it a few other ways. I think that's one of the simplest ways for people that aren't familiar with NLP is to learn the basic eye movement integration technology and to learn how to apply it to changing states to beliefs. Works super, super well for most people. Not all clients, but 80-90% of clients respond super, super well to that.
If it's the one where you're moving around kind of randomly?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a longer conversation than we want to do right now, but I don't think it's totally random. Basically, in a nutshell, if you were to imagine the NLP eye accessing cues, and I'm not sure that the NLP eye accessing cues are real or not, but just pretend that they are for a minute, right? So you've got your visual range, you've got your auditory range, and then you've got your auditory, this is for me, you got auditory digital range, and you've got your feeling range over here, right? So your self-talk and your emotional state. So basically you've got these six accesses. What you do is you connect them. And what you're looking for, in my opinion, is you're looking for the areas where there's a discontinuity in the eye movements, or where the eyes kind of blip, or they get stuck, or they kind of do little roller bump movements. And then when you find that axis, then you connect them. So you can connect lines straight across, you can connect lines up and down, although those tend not to work as well, in my opinion. And then you do circles. You have a circle right, circle left, and then you have your figure eights usually moving up in the center. So that's the NLP eye accessing movements.
Can try. I can, if you want. I can.
No. So, we'll use something else. We'll use a different technology. Just know that I'm using something that I may or may not be demonstrating in the workshop. Just depending on how things go. Is that all right?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. So first off, I want to know what's an area where you'd actually like to experiment with some change and to see what's possible.
We were talking prior to this. I'm working on. I want to get out of the job I'm in doing timeshare. I've got a couple internet marketing niches I'm working on.
Nice.
There's always something that holds me back. I've been studying copywriting for a while. I've done a little bit of copywriting. Sometimes I feel you get that little voice on the inside, you're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. But I just need to move forward. And even if it's not a perfect sales letter or a perfect project, I need to just start working on it.
Nice. Well, the words that you said that you emphasized, that I heard you emphasize the most, were holding me back. So we're going to zero in on that, right? So when I'm listening to a client, one of the things I'm watching for and listening for is what are the words that they're sitting on the most? What are their hot words inside of a sentence? And you're listening for tonality changes and you're watching for physiology changes. So we're going to go back to the phrase holding me back. And what I want you to do is I want you to repeat the phrase like this. I'll demonstrate. I'm holding myself back because, and then I just want you to kind of give me whatever comes up.
I'm holding myself back because I'm not good enough.
Because I'm not good enough, okay? And I'm just making notes here because we may come back to this. Now, I want you to just say, I am not good enough because, and then just fill in the blank.
I'm not good enough because I'm a loser.
Because I'm a loser. Okay. What does it mean that you're a loser?
That no matter what I try, I won't be able to. It won't be good enough.
Okay. Now, when you hold on to that thought, so we've got the whole thought, which is, I'm not good enough because I'm a loser, and no matter what I try, it won't be good enough. When you hold on to that thought, tell me, if you were to imagine a thermometer that had a scale from 0 to 100. 0 meant there was no emotional energy around it, and 100 meant there was like a ton. I want you to be honest. This is kind of I'm no BS zone, right? I'm here to help you. We're here playing, but how much emotional energy is there?
I'd give it about a 70, maybe. I could definitely almost feel it kind of hit me in the core, hit me in my chest. I can almost feel like want to tear up. So it definitely hit heavy.
So it hit you right here in the chest, and then you felt like you were going to tear up. Did it happen in that order?
It felt like that, yeah. It's kind of hit here, and then there was kind of the cerebral thinking about it, like eyes misty.
And then the eyes got misty. So it went from here, kind of spun around the head, and then the eyes got misty. Yep. And now this is good enough. Now, if we had more time, I might explore this to see if there was something that was more core. We may end up there anyway. But what I want next is, this is a full verbal representation of a belief. Now I want to get the internal representation. So some of you are already familiar with NLP. I know, Antonio, you are. But in terms of NLP, when we talk about an internal representation, basically it's, how do you represent the belief? And that means, are there images associated with it? Are there memories that are associated with it? Is it mainly the physiological sensation that you have? So what's going on inside that lets you know that you have that belief?
Let me see. Okay, the belief thoughts. Okay. How do we say it out though?
Yeah, I'll read it back to you. I'm not good enough because I'm a loser, and no matter what I try, I won't be good enough.
Sometimes I've had hard times with some modality stuff, but it almost like it brings up maybe my dad yelling at me.
And how old do you feel when Dad's yelling at you?
6.
Okay, so you feel 6. Dad's yelling at you. Tell me about the image of Dad yelling at you. What is that image like?
It's about here, it's like kind of pointing his finger, yelling at me.
Mm-hmm. And when you're seeing,
sorry, what was that?
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It just seems exaggerated, like yelling, almost like in a movie or a cartoon. You know, you have the wolf. They have like the teeth kind of, or the skin pulling back. It's almost like that kind of emotional energy yelling at me.
It's almost that kind of emotional energy, and you're gesturing at the mouth. And when you were talking about exaggeration, now I don't know if that means anything, but if you were to describe his mouth, what are you seeing?
I don't know if there was much, but I think it's just like I guess maybe that's where the words are coming from. That's maybe the significance.
Maybe the significance. Now, as you're noticing that representation, you're about age 6. Dad's right there. Are you in the image, or are you watching yourself being yelled at over there?
I'm in the image.
You're in the image. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start playing right here, if that's with the representation. Is that all right? And we could do a more detailed submodality change, but right now I think I have enough information. I know I have a full belief molecule. I know verbally how he's representing it. I have some idea about what he's representing, and based on his description and his gestures, I have an idea about what's important inside that image. So I'm going to start, at this point, I'm going to start playing with different changes to see if we can change the state. And everything that we do, including submodality changes at this point, if I do them, will be aimed at how can I get him to change the state. I believe that we've identified enough of a belief to be able to work with it. So, Antonio, with your help, I'd like to help you experiment with some changes. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's really important for me as a practitioner that you're just totally honest with me, because my only goal here is just to help you out. So if we do something and it works, I want to know. But if we do something and it doesn't quite work right, that's actually really important for me to know too. Is that okay? So first things first, go ahead. I'd like to invite you to go ahead and step out of that image and to move that memory out across the room until you're seeing it over there somewhere.
Yeah, I can see it on the wall.
Okay, so there it is on the wall. And here's what I know about that memory. Without knowing any of the content, I don't need a lot of content. I know that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I know there was an end because you're actually sitting here in front of me doing this interview right now. But let's go ahead and identify the moment before the memory ever started. This would be a point of safety, or a point where you at least weren't being yelled at and you were just calm, normal 6-year-old kid having a day. And if you can't remember that, just go ahead and allow your subconscious mind to create an image that could represent that.
Give me a second.
Yep, take all the time you need.
It's almost like I see myself sitting on the ground, playing some toys, I think.
Okay, so you're sitting on the ground playing with toys. And with your permission, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you also create an ending to the movie. It'd be a moment after you were yelled at, after the event was over, and the worst of it was over. You were done being yelled at, and now you're ready for the rest of your day.
Okay, one thing that came up, I do remember this. Good chance it might be associated with it. There was a time when it's kind of funny, I had some Lego. I think I had a magnet where I put a nail on it, and my dad came down the stairs. He's like yelling at me. He's pointing at his foot, and I see a magnet on his foot. So I'm thinking, like, oh my God, you got a magnet stuck to your foot. Oh, I didn't know there was a nail that he was kind of pissed that it went up in his foot.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, so he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go all the way after that to where it's like you knew your dad was going to be okay. You knew you were okay. Or at least the worst of it was over. Maybe dad was, running off to the hospital or the doctor or whatever. But, it wasn't the end of the end of the world. Have you got that? And just create, again, if you don't know exactly what it is, allow your subconscious mind to create a representation of it.
I'm just seeing him sitting on the couch watching TV, him sitting in his arms.
Yeah. Fantastic. So we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what we want to do now is the goal here is to get you to change your state. And if I'm working with a private client, I might tell them that, like, what we're after here is how to change the state here. But before we change it, we want to make sure that we explore it to preserve anything that's useful. So if I could invite you to step into that movie, if it's not too traumatic, I'll have you relive it. If it's kind of more of a traumatic movie for you, I'll have you watch it from a distance, and I'll let you choose either one. Which one would you prefer to do?
I can go, and it's not too much of a big deal.
Okay, it's not a big deal. So just go ahead and go and start at the point of safety. Just get the sensation, I'm safe here, everything's okay, the world's okay, dad's okay. And then just go ahead and relive that movie at the speed of thought, all the way through the crescendo, all the way to the end of the movie where the worst is over.
Okay.
Okay, you got that? Now, as you're in that movie, tell me, what is the 6-year-old believing?
But then I was being stupid, just leaving stuff around.
And what did that mean that you were being stupid?
Wasn't being cautious, wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. And what did that mean about you as a person?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What did that mean about you as a person?
What did it mean about me as a person? It's hard to kind of pinpoint that.
Okay, so and the emotional representation that you have in your body, what are you experiencing as a 6-year-old child?
So the emotions calmed down a little bit. So I went from safety to crescendo to safety. But let me go to the part right when he's yelling, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Go right to where he's yelling, and just notice, what is your body doing? How is your body responding?
What I'm representing in my mind, like a tense feeling here, and almost like, of course I want to be yelled at, trying to shield myself. You want to know what this means?
Yeah. So you've got a tense feeling here, and you're not sure what it means. So go ahead and step out of it, and I can see that on your face, right? So just go ahead and step out of it. Put it all the way over there across the room again. And what I'm going to invite you to do, I'm going to invite you to step into the point of safety at the beginning of the movie. And you can do this non-verbally if you want, or you can do it verbally. Either's fine. But just be with the 6-year-old child. You're an adult. You have all the learnings of an adult and everything that you've learned from that moment on. Also the learning that maybe your dad actually did get hurt and he was acting out of hurt. But just prepare the 6-year-old for what's coming up.
Okay.
Okay. What happens?
So I'm actually in the movie looking at the 6-year-old. See the dad yelling at the younger me.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing little me cry. He knows. I basically gave him a heads up that this would happen.
Yeah. And how does that change things?
It's almost like I still hear him saying I'm stupid.
I'm sorry, you cut out there for a second. What was that?
It's almost like I can still hear the younger me saying I'm stupid.
Yeah, so you can still hear him saying it. So does it do this for a moment? Step back into the 6-year-old child, and here's where we're testing, right? To see what exactly happened. This is clearly not done, but we want to notice if it's changed at all. And so I'm gonna put him right into the memory to notice if it's changed. Now, if this is a trauma level memory, I would have done something first before we ever did this. But he said, "Hey, this is okay. I can do this." So just step back into it as the 6-year-old. Tell me, does the experience seem exactly the same, or does it seem different?
I think maybe a little bit different. I can still feel some of the emotion.
Yep. Let's explore how it's different and how it's the same. And it's okay that it's the same, and it's okay that it's different. So there's no right or wrong answer here. Just step into it and notice what's happened. What's changed?
Chest is kind of relaxed.
The chest is relaxed. Is it all the way relaxed or just a little bit relaxed?
A little bit relaxed.
So the
not complete.
A little bit. Like, give it a percentage. If 100% was all the way relaxed,
maybe like 40%.
Yeah. So there was a shift. Go ahead and step out of the memory. And this time you're going to go back to your point of safety as an adult, and go to your father before he ever stepped on the toy. And prepare your father for what's coming. Remember, you can't change the past, but you can prepare him for it. So go into it cognitively and just say, "Hey, Dad, in a minute, you're going to step on a nail. It's going to really hurt, but there's going to be a really scared 6-year-old boy there, and he needs you to be strong." Or whatever you want to say, but just prepare your dad for what's coming up.
So I kind of did a quick exchange. I see him trying to hold back some choice words, and instead she's showing like the younger me. Knowing the younger me, a lot of kids like magic, but showing, but hey, look, it's a magic trick. Got a magnet stuck to my foot, and kind of running off in the kitchen and ripping it out.
Right. Maybe swearing a little bit in the kitchen or something like that, right? So, yeah, so there he is, and notice he's responding differently. Now this is a little bit different, but this is what we call a perceptual position change in NLP. I want you to replay that movie, but this time you're replaying it as Dad with this new learning. What's your dad's name?
Hector.
Hector. So there you are as Hector. You're safe, and then boom, you step on the magnet, and you see your 6-year-old boy needs you to be strong, so you're strong. You're hurting, but you're strong. and go through the whole memory and tell me when you're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it one more time.
Yeah, go do it one. Take all the time you need.
Okay.
Okay. And just by calibration, and this is just for teaching, I'm pointing this out. Notice that his physiology has changed, and notice that his voice tone changed. Even when he said "K," he dropped down into a different space. Now, I'm not saying he's done, but something's shifting and changing inside of him with this memory, although we haven't gotten to the generalization step yet. So go ahead and step out of your father's experience, become the 6-year-old boy, and run the movie again as your younger self, and tell me what's happening now.
It's a little bit different. I can hear him like from the room. I can hear him complaining from the room, not full out, but kind of like oh shit, and trying to keep the level down.
Yeah.
So it's more like I'm kind of intrigued, and I want to check on his safety.
Yeah, your concern is moved outward. Now let's bring the movie back. Let's go right to the crescendo moment where things are most intense, where they were most intense. And I want you just to freeze frame the image for a moment. And there's the 6-year-old boy over there, and there's Hector, doing the best he can. And just allow yourself to look over at your dad and Hector. And how old was Hector then? Hector probably, I'm guessing, was in his 20s, 30s, 40s.
No. He's 56. I was surprised 20s.
He's in his 20s. He's a kid, right?
Yeah.
So he's a kid doing the best he can. He's hurting. Emotionally, what did Hector need to be able to protect his son and still be able to, manage the pain that he was in?
What did he? Let me just ask him.
Yeah, just ask him. Hey, Hector, what do you need?
Comfort and courage, I guess.
Comfort and courage. I'm going to have you pull your right hand down, and I'm going to have you do what we call a self-anchor here in a minute, just like this. When ready, but we're not quite ready yet. Okay, so I want you to remember what it feels like to feel comfort. And what was the other word he said he needed?
Courage.
Comfort and courage. And there have been times in your past when I'm sure that you felt both of those things. That's right. What is it like to feel comfort and courage? And you can self-anchor anytime now. There you go. And just hold on to that. Just like you're holding on with your hand, you're holding on to the comfort and the courage. And when it's at its peak, turn that comfort and courage into a color. There you go. What color would it be?
Blue.
Blue. Send that blue color over to Hector. Let Hector be filled up with the blue. And tell me what happens.
And I see him standing up, holding back any kind of. I've actually never really. I've only seen my dad cry a couple times, so that wouldn't be relevant. But seen him kind of holding back any emotion showing any kind of weakness, pain.
Sure.
And seeing him walk straight to the bathroom, even though I know the magnet's on his foot, it's not like he's walking in one foot. It's not like when you see a dog that's walking with a crippled foot, just straight walking to the bathroom.
Sure. Well, just do this and step into the image of Hector, but now you've got that blue light inside of you. You got that blue inside of you. And just let yourself experience that as Hector. And tell me, what is that like?
It's comforting. Feels a little more balanced. there's not the high and low of anger or any emotion.
Yeah. Feels balanced. It is possible to feel balanced and comforted even when you're in pain, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now look, as Hector, look down at your 6-year-old son. There's Antonio. And Antonio needs the same kind of comfort, the same kind of courage later in life. And here is a great place to teach it to him. Send the blue light down to 6-year-old Antonio so that he can have comfort and courage. That's right. That's right. Take all the time you need. Yeah.
Huh.
What happened with little Antonio?
Seeing him kind of clean up. I almost feel like a little thought bubble over his head saying it's not my fault.
Yeah. Drop down into the experience, become little Antonio, 6 years old, but you've now got the blue of comfort and courage. And tell me, what is little Antonio believing now?
I know for one, he's feeling more playful.
He's feeling playful.
Feeling protected.
He feels protected. That's right. Where is the old tension in the chest? Is it there or is it gone?
No, it's gone. It's almost like the last bit, I can feel the last bit kind of melting down my legs.
Just let it melt all the way down your legs. Let it melt all the way away. Take all the time you need. There's no rush. Let it happen at its own pace. Just letting the blue light move through you, pushing out any of that old feeling, letting it melt right out of you. That's right. Good. It's a good feeling, isn't it?
Almost like I can hear like a thing, I can do I can do this, but more of like I can do this kind of tone. And like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I can do this. Carry this light with you through time, through your timeline. And notice that as the state changed, the reframe happened automatically. And this happens all the time, which is why I start with changing the state first. All the representation changes, all the perceptual position changes. All of the resource sending was all related to helping him change the state. He did the third step on his own, which is to change do the reframing. But now just carry the blue light through time at the speed of thought, allowing all of the old tightness to melt away. As you allow the blue light that represents courage, comfort, balance, playfulness, peaceful, to fill up every life context that you need from that moment at 6 until now in such a way that it causes you to break through the old belief that you used to have. Allowing that old belief to simply melt away as it comes in contact with the blue light. Take all the time you need and let me know when that's done.
Okay.
There you go. Again, there's a significant change in his voice tone from beginning to end as he's doing that. Notice how his voice got more open, more breathy. That's a good sign. Doesn't mean we're done. It just is a good sign. So, Antonio, tell me, as you bring that blue light into your job, because you want to make this career change, where you're doing more internet marketing, and you bring in the courage, and you bring in the playfulness, and you bring in the comfort and the balance. Tell me, how is that changing now?
It's not as scary to start. I mean, everything's scary to start, but anything new is gonna have a little bit of fear.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do it once, and then it just gets better and better and better.
Yeah. How is it different than it was a moment before, as you think about it now?
I can almost see myself having a little more money. See myself reaching out to other people, maybe hypnosis instructors, to offer writing sales copy for their workshops and their seminars,
Sure.
help them make more money. And it's kind of funny. So my day job's a timeshare thing. I work at one of the booths, give you discounts. I can kind of see that. It's kind of like fading away, almost like there's just a plot of land where the booth used to be.
Yeah, well, just allow it to fade away as a representation of the changes that you're making now. Invite the blue light into it, allowing it to playfully, with courage and comfort, to melt away.
I can almost. There's one thing I've been thinking about lately. Is maybe I eventually want to do some backpacking. I haven't done too much traveling, maybe on the mainland, even though I'll be leaving Paradise here.
Yeah.
Maybe backpacking for a couple weeks at a time. And I can see myself kind of standing on a cliff, got my backpack, and of course got a nice big wildebeest beard going. But it's almost like I'm standing up, and I can. So it feels a little more freedom, like I can have a sense of power, knowing that I can have my laptop in my backpack, and I can make my money while I'm moving, while I'm traveling.
Make money while you're moving and traveling. And just allow that new belief to fill your future. I can make money while I'm moving and while I'm traveling. And I can do it courageously, playfully. I can do it with comfort and balance. And just notice, that's right, what's emerging. And again, we can calibrate the change that he's going through right now. We can notice it with our eyes and our ears. His voice sounds different. His physiology looks different. Just allow that change to fill your future and to notice what that's like. While you're doing that, I'm just going to recap. We've gone through and identified the belief. We identified the representation of the belief. We identified the states, not in detail, but enough to form a hypothesis about what to do next. And that's all you really need to do. You model out what's there until you know what you change first. Once we identified the belief, then we started to change the state. We did that through perceptual positions, through moving him into, in NLP, what we call an associated state, a dissociated state. We did that visually by sending an emotional resource, the blue light. And we did that by sending the resource to his father, and then to his 6-year-old son, or himself, his younger self, and then had him generalize the change by carrying it through time. And now we're in the point where if I had a little more time, and I don't, I got to wrap up here in a minute, but if I had a little more time, what I would do is I would continue to future pace. Future pace means we would continue to connect this change to the future another dozen times. Basically, I would keep on doing this until he was like, all right, I'm changed. Right? So if we had the time, I would literally do that. Just keep. It might take us another 10, 15, 20 minutes. But what I'm going to give him for homework is I'm just going to say, Antonio, if I were in your shoes, what I do now is that there is some level of shift. Now you tell me, has this belief completely changed? Has it mostly changed? Has it partially changed?
I think maybe partially, maybe half. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. So we've gotten a half of a change. And so that's pretty cool for a few minutes, right? So I think the whole interview here is at about 50 minutes. I think the demo is probably 20, 30 minutes. So for 20, 30 minutes, we got an opening, and there might be something else that we need to go around and we need to still come back in and work on. And ultimately what we keep on doing is we keep on cycling back through the pattern until he would say, hey, there's nothing left. But the cool thing is even with a 50% change, new possibilities open up. You take a plane that leaves from New York and it's heading over to Paris, and even if it changes course just 5 degrees, you're not going to land. You're not going to land in Paris. You're going to be maybe you're going to end up in Africa or something like that, right? I mean, you're going to end up somewhere else. So small changes compounded over time equate big things, but still as a practitioner, I would say we're not quite done, but we're moving forward and we've made good progress. And so we just loop back around, we'd run right back through it, and we'd see where it takes us. But any last question? I've got a couple minutes and I gotta run here, but
question. How can people learn about the workshop? Do they have to go to htlive.net, I think it is?
I think it's htlive.net, and it's Gorilla Belief Change or NLP Gorilla Belief Change, something like that. You'll see my smiling picture. It might be an older picture, I think, that they had up there. But you'll see me up there, and I think the workshop is just the one day, Thursday. I actually don't know what the price is right now. I've forgotten, to be perfectly honest. But it'll be worth it. My goal is to deliver value. I want you to walk away and have something that you can immediately apply and start to benefit your clients right away.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, how many spots do you think you have left on it?
Honestly, I haven't even looked. I have no idea. I know I have people that have signed up. I don't know how big the class is at this point, and I don't know how many people are left. I think that class size is limited, so I'd love to help as many people as we can pack into that classroom. And whether you're a beginner or you're advanced, I think there'll be something that you can pull away. John Grinder has a great saying. He says, if you can, you can't. If you can't, you must. And what he means by that is in a training context is if you know that you can create change in a certain way, you aren't allowed to use that tool during the training. And I train the same way. I say, hey, if you're an advanced practitioner and you can already create change in a certain way with NLP, then I'd say, let's take that tool away and let's get you experimenting with new ways to make change during the workshop so that you walk out and you have something new. Here's what I know. I know I have not taught this workshop without learning something new, either by the demo that I do, by watching the client that I'm working with, or by watching a student, whether beginning or advanced, do some brilliant maneuver that helps create change. So I look forward to learning from you as much as I hope to share whatever knowledge and experience I have with you as well.
Now, one last thing. I don't know if you're up for it. If you want to do a bonus. If you want to do maybe a follow-up thing, maybe you check up with me a couple weeks, month, whatever. Do a follow-up demo. We could package that as a bonus video for all the people.
I'd love to do that. So why don't we just plan on getting together? I'm traveling over the next couple of weeks. I know I'm going to be in Dallas next week for about a week doing consulting and then speaking, and then I'll be back. I'll be back after that. But whether we do it before or after HypnoThoughts, let's just commit to do that, and we'll package that out as a bonus for people. Does that sound good?
Yep. And then the other thing, we got to get you out here to do the workshop. I'm pretty sure you can't complain with the palm trees I'm looking at right now.
Dude, I would love to. Any excuse to go back to Kauai, I'm down for it. So I think that Kauai is one of my. It is one of my favorite places in the world. I don't know if I could live there year round because I think I get a little bit island, like a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm trapped, and not right away. It'd probably take me a few months, but I could literally live in Kauai 3 to 6 months a year and be a happy man. And the people, the nature, just everything about it is outstanding. So I'd love to come back, man.
So anybody watching this, if you want to have some awesome changes, we can talk about doing a workshop. You got a lot of the I guess woo-woo minded folks here. You can finish it off. I don't know if you've done the hike to Hanakapia. You can do a hike up to Kalalau Valley, and that'd be a great way to finish off a workshop.
Oh, dude, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, we gotta put our minds together on this. This is sounding really good.
Well, definitely, let's get something going on, and hopefully, I'll see you at Hypnothoughts. I'm gonna busting out some letters to get the money out there.
Sounds good, man.
Everybody, go to Hypnothoughts Live. Either above this video, below, register for his workshop. And if you register for the workshop, missed a syllable. If you register for the workshop, we will get you a follow-up video of him doing a little more mind magic with me.
Sounds good,
It was great fun. It was great catching up with you, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man.
Aloha.